Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/AHTT. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. From the Gotham Podcast Studio, episode 104 of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, Dexter Henry, Brian Fonseca here. Closing out 2019 in the way we've always closed out our last couple of years.
That's crazy. This is the third time we're doing this.
Third time we are doing this. This is the third annual Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, Hip Hop Awards. You know, we do this thing. We talk a little sports and hip hop on this. And we like to take a look back on what was great for the year in hip-hop. This year, we're also adding in a couple things that we haven't done in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. We haven't done Producer of the Year. Yeah. We also haven't done...
I'm going to go through the categories right now.
Yep.
So then people could keep today. Last year, we had like 3 fewer ones. This year, we're going ham. We got Artist of the Year, we got Producer of the Year, we have Song of the Year, we have Verse of the Year, we have Non-Hip-Hop Album of the Year. I know these are hip-hop awards, but we have to, show love to some.
We listen to other stuff.
Yeah, most of you. Album of the Decade and Album of the Year. I put Album of the Decade before Album of the Year because we're pretty much in agreement on what the Album of the Decade is.
Yeah, so... we are. We know that. Now, some of this other stuff, Brian and I, we have discussed, but we do not know each other's choices.
No.
Outside of Album of the Decade, because something we had discussed before, so we know, but we do not know each other's choices. So a lot of this will be surprising and interesting. There probably will be some overlap and stuff because there's a commonality in certain things that we listen to. But there's certain things I'm interested in what his non-hip hop album of the year is. And some other things. But let's get into this and move in. First of all, what do you want to kick it off with? Artist of the Year?
That's starting off high.
Okay, let's start.
What do you think?
No, let's go with Verse of the Year. Let's come in. I think this is hard. You listen to a lot of
It wasn't hard for me. It wasn't hard for me.
You listen to a lot of music, but I think verses are about the way, just like anything else in music, it's about the way it hits you. And to me, a verse.
This shit hit me right away.
It hit me. It's about song structure. It's about subject matter. It's about putting it all together efficiently, and to me, rapping your ass off in that. Now, I'm gonna go with you to kick this off.
Because this is the one that I've said from the beginning. Like, this is a super easy category for me. I heard the verse. I said this is probably gonna be my verse of the year. It has held up.
I'm wondering if it's even one that's in my. I had 3, and I put. There were 4 things I decided between. And I wonder if it's one of them. So go, but tell me how'd you come to your process? Like, so we're gonna explain to you how we came to our processes of making these decisions and why we made these decisions.
I heard the beat. I heard the verse. I heard the song actually, and I just kept replaying the song over and over and over.
Is it a feature? It's a feature in somebody's song?
No,
it's not. It's a song.
It's a song. Let me give you the runners up. First of all, I have 2 runners up. 5 to 50, Benny the Butcher, first verse, and Nas the Lost Freestyle. The Lost Freestyle was really good, man.
That is a really
There
good
are some
verse.
others too, but
okay. So
verse of the year. First verse, Cleo, Rhapsody.
Pondering
how to approach some of y'all sensitive, but I still need to know.
Yo. This
shit hit me in the face when I first heard it. Wondering how a bunch of sheep could have opinions on a goat. Come on. This is one of my favorite verses I've probably ever heard in my life. This first verse.
Wow.
Because of the stuff that I'm sort of experiencing now, where she's talking about, people not. We just talked about this on our last podcast. People in offices all looking a certain way and things of this nature. Like, this spoke to me on another level where I'm like, yo, nah, I feel Rhapsody here, and we know that Rhapsody can rap. Rap is in her name. Like, Rhapsody is nice.
We also have to admit, you also have a very special love for that beat. on that.
Oh,
because of the sample.
To me, "In the Air Tonight" is probably the greatest song ever. So like,
you love that. You love anything that samples that.
I like DMX, "Feeling It." That's one of my favorite songs. Nonpoint, who's actually a metal band, they made a good remix to that, to "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins. And yeah, that Nas sampled it for One Mic.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, but those are really good sample flips. I'm sure there are some bad ones out there, but listen, the way they used it, and that song got me going back to, I was listening to some Phil Collins afterwards. I was listening to this song a lot during the U.S. Open, just going and coming back, because this is when I was like, I was trying to finish up Side Hustle. I was stressed out, leaving Nets Daily, all this other stuff, and I knew there was a transitional period about to go on in my life that I'm still going through right now. Not in that way, but I'm talking about professionally. And yeah, this verse spoke to me on a number of levels. Like, Rhapsody, verse of the year, Cleo first verse. Jesus Christ,
great verse.
Woo! Was that even in your top?
It just got out my honorable mentions. It was in the 4. It was. I actually do think that's the best verse in that album.
Yes,
I will say that.
Yes, it's my favorite song on the album too.
Yeah.
Let's go, because we got a lot to get to.
But a lot, you brought up the line I do love on that album, on that verse, which is, wonder how a bunch of sheep can have opinions on the goat. We all on the same continent, off the same boat, right? Yes. Remember early on, y'all treat me the same though. I used to question why the brothers even rock with me, folk. Like her,
she's talking about her going through it,
and the
man.
struggles of people not believing in her. Yeah, it's really really good song. She and spitting the beat is hard. All right, here's how I did it. I don't need to take time to address opinions that ain't Ninth Dre or Jay-Z. Only rap radars I need are them in the streets.
Yo. Be careful the validations y'all seek. I've been in them offices. They don't look like you or me. What?
Yeah, that you need a shirt with that. For me, I'm gonna go through how I came through. There were 4 verses that I really liked. One was a feature. All 4 verses that I liked were features. This was not the person's song. Okay. They all were features that really grabbed me. First one that I heard, I think this album dropped around May, and this will come up, I think, again in our non-hip-hop album. Andre 3000's verse on Come Home with Anderson.Paak.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Bad.
I thought about this too.
I heard that and I was just like, that's a song where I was playing it back and back just for the verse.
Oh, I do that with 16 on Andre 3000's verse on the Rick Ross song.
That is a great Andre verse too. So that was one. Other one came off of Brian's boy, Freddie Gibbs, but it wasn't Freddie. Pusha T on Palmolive. Yeah. First of all, that is also was up there in, for me, I will get back to the song later, in terms of song of the year. Love that song. Arguably my favorite song off of Bandana with Madlib. Sample was great. Gibbs throwing it. Pusha T did his thing. Other song I really liked. This was important because it was the first single off of this album. It was a return of a group, Gangstar with Primo, and J.Cole's feature on Family and Loyalty. J.Cole murdered that, which you also said would be his last feature for a while. But
I hope not.
But verse of the year. This came off of something that could not be in contention for album of the year. This was off Benny the Butcher's The Plugs I Met. Black Thought feature on Crowns for Kings.
Oh, okay.
Black Thought went nuts on this. Wow. I love the bars. I love the flow. I thought he just skated off of this soulful beat. Some of my favorite lines: it's all love from public housing to the Atlas Mountains are establishing the average to always bat 1,000. So after butchering this track, it's back to counting. The money generated from me leaving microphones broke, probably almost on par with all of Escobar's coke. When I'm finished, I'm gonna just keep a tennis shoe in y'all throat, just in case you mention in an interview you want smoke. Yo. We all know how good Thought is, but he skated on that.
Listen, I first of all, I like that we have 2 different verses.
Yeah, I love that.
But like, Jesus Christ.
But verses speak to you in different ways. That's why I was saying with that before. Like, it's about how it hits you and speaks to you. You know
when
did
Rhapsody and Black Thought last had a collaboration?
On Layla's Wisdom.
Okay, that's what they need to do one again. Yeah, I'm ready.
Actually, that's not technically true. On Black Thought's Stream of Thought Volume 1.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Which actually really
and
dope.
And shout out to Ninth Wonder also.
Yeah, just killing it. So that was my verse of the year. If you ever heard that, check it out. Black Thought on Benny the Butcher's Crowns for Kings off the Plugs I Met EP. Really good verse for that. All right, what are we gonna do next? What do you want to do next?
Ooh, I don't know, man.
Let's go with artist of the year.
Let's go. No, I was gonna say let's go non-hip hop album of the year.
Oh, this I'm very interested. I wanted you go first because I'm more interested in this from you.
Now, admittedly, I listen to less non-hip hop than you do.
That's a shame.
And I think I know where you're going.
This was pretty solidified for me all year.
Is Ventura.
There were three. Yes, for me, I'll say it right now.
Okay.
For me, it was Ventura, Anderson. But it's kind of a tie for me.
Really? What's the tie?
It was hard because it was Ventura, Shea Butter Baby by Ari Lennox. And then late in the year, I got an album from an artist I like. I don't know if you know this artist, Michael Kiwanuka from the UK. He kind of does soul stuff. I really love his last album. I think his album's a little bit better than Shea Butter Baby, but it's right there for me between those two. So it could be Kiwanuka or it could be Ventura. I give the edge to Ventura because I've just been pumping it so much longer all through the year.
Mine is Ventura also. But I will say this. A very close candidate for me was 1123. BJ the Chicago Kid.
I didn't care for that album, man.
I liked it a lot.
I did not care for that album.
The problem the reason why I couldn't make it my non-hip hop album of the year was because a lot of the songs or a couple of the songs I really liked had already come out. They already came out last year.
I do like the song that he opened the album with Pac. That is good.
Yeah, that song and Rather Be With You is one of my favorite non-hip hop songs of the year.
Yeah, that album didn't hit me as much.
But Anderson.Paak, I mean, he's back. Like he's back to like I felt similar to when I heard Malibu, although Malibu was my album of the year that year, and I don't think this is quite Malibu level.
No, but it's really good.
But it's really good.
It was the closest.
This is like Stillmatic and Mad and what's the other project?
Oxnard?
No. No. The one we just mentioned. My brain is escaping me. No. The Anderson Malibu. Yeah. Malibu would be his Illmatic, and Ventura would be his Stillmatic.
I wrote this in my notes. I said I thought after a slightly disappointing Oxnard, and Oxnard was disappointing I think because it was just a little too all over the place and didn't know what he wanted to, but it had really good songs. Some songs I love. You know, he came back with this heavy, more R&B influenced album. Was really in his lane. Flowed well throughout. I thought it had a good balance between him rapping and singing. Just really good vibe. Fantastic production.
Yes.
The guests that were on there were really good when used. I already talked about 3 Stacks verse. If you ever heard this album, it is the first song on the album.
Yeah.
And when 3 Stacks comes in, it's one of these things like the song's already good, and then he comes in with his verse, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
We have heard
But this is why I wanted to get to non-hip-hop album of the year. And then next, I think we should do producer of the year because I think we both have the same person there as well.
We might.
Because then after that, it gets really interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. Yeah, so non-hip-hop album of the year, Ventura, Anderson.Paak. Really good. Also, I highly recommend checking out Shea Butter Baby, Ari Lennox. I thought if you want to talk about a pure R&B or soul album, that was it for me. I thought it was really fantastic, really well done. I know some people think she sounds a lot like Erykah Badu. That is true, but I think her music's really good. And Michael Kiwanuka, if you haven't listened to his music and you like some soul rockish kind of stuff, he's really dope, really good songwriter. I don't think this album, self-titled album, is as good as his previous one, Cold Little Heart. Love and Hate. But it's almost a better listen in terms of conduciveness and the soulfulness of this. The sound throughout is a better listen. So check those out if you can. We do listen to other stuff than hip-hop. There are some other non-hip-hop albums I would put on here that I hadn't listened to and I haven't got to yet. I know Cole Page has dropped a new album. I have not listened to that yet. I will get to that at some point. But yeah.
And Alessia Cara dropped something, and
I haven't listened to that either.
Also, I'm an Alessia Cara guy. So
yeah. Oh, I'll give another one I'll put out there. Summer Walker's album was pretty good too. I'll listen to that. It was pretty good. All right. Next,
producer of the year, because we're on the same page here.
Are you sure?
I think.
All right. Who are your contenders?
Pete Rock, DJ Premier
for his work on. Primo had some good beats. Also did that song Headlines for Griselda this year, which is fire.
Speaking of Derringer,
also, yep.
And there was one other that we mentioned also that was a contender, but no one had a better year than Madlib, bro.
I agree.
Nobody had a better year than Madlib. Like, listen, I think it's funny because, and we're gonna talk more about this album later. I know we are, but
nah, we're not.
But I think Madlib is actually not getting enough credit for his production level this year. You know what I mean? Like, we'll get more into this later. I'm watching Freddie Gibbs get a lot of deserved praise for the rapping he did on this album, and he is one of the best rappers on the planet. I said it in our very first episode on the podcast, and he's been proving me right so far. But Madlib's production on that was, listen, man. Pete Rock was second to me because, and we're gonna, and we may talk about this later, but his collaboration with Sky Zoo, who we had on this podcast, man.
Yep.
Pete Rock was Pete Rock, bro.
Yeah, like, you know what's funny? I had a friend who told me he didn't, and he's a little older than me, but he did not like Pete Rock's production on the Retropolitan Project.
Really?
Yeah, I was shocked about that. He said it didn't sound. I didn't know what he wanted it to sound like. I didn't really get into that, but yeah, I didn't understand it. I thought Pete Rock's production was good on that. I thought he also did a good joint. Pete Rock also put out a very dope instrumentals album at the top of the year that has some joints that I'm surprised people
that's
listen
true.
to.
Oh, Ninth Wonder also gets mentioned.
Yes, Ninth Wonder was the person we left off because the work he did on Rhapsody's album, along with the Ninth and Murs album, was some good stuff. Also, who else did he do some work on? He did work on somebody else's album. I'm forgetting about Ninth.
Not Little Brother.
He was on the Little Brother album, I know. Although that was a very well produced album.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later too. But no, Madlib, the production on Bandana is really, really good.
There's not a bad beat on there.
I think that's what really blew me away. There might be songs that I don't really feel, but his intricate use of samples in ways that I don't think that most people will be able to execute. You know, like I'm thinking about like he's on Massage Seats.
Yeah, that's the beat I'm thinking of too.
He uses a little bit of Maxi pre-sample and mixing that in is just like, man, it's
like, how did he do that?
It's dope in the way the beat sometimes like fires and it's rapping and it's just like great reggae samples using it.
The grimy sound of Palmolive and it being like dirty and like, oh my God.
You know what I think? And it's funny, we'll get into this album later, but
I think Giannis is the opposite where it's just so clean. It's just such a great
The album has good variation, but also has a really good use of samples throughout where it never feels overused and never feels overproduced. And he and Gibbs, their work together is really good.
We'll get
and
more on that later.
That also matters to me in production.
Yeah.
How you work with artists and help them craft the songs. And I think it's really good chemistry. It might be one of the better albums I could think about where somebody just worked with either one or maybe I'll even add like another producer that I felt good about probably since Common when he did B with Kanye and only those two Jay Dilla tracks. But the vibe that they had on that, the chemistry was like really great. It kind of reminds me of that in this way. Madlib, just great. I thought he brought out, what in my opinion, I'm not as big as a Freddie Gibbs fan as Brian is, but I thought it was, we'll get into this more later, I thought he brought out with his production the best rapping I've ever heard from Freddie Gibbs. I thought Freddie Gibbs was sharp. I thought Freddie Gibbs was on his game. I think if you want to hear the really brilliant use of the instrumentation in this album, I highly recommend you go watch the Tiny Desk that Freddie Gibbs did.
Oh, yeah.
For those people who know, Tiny Desk, NPR does a series where they have people do mini concerts in front of, like, literally it's a tiny desk with just a band around.
Yes.
But they're really dope. A lot of good artists have been on there. Freddie Gibbs was probably the best one I saw this year. I thought it was dope. I thought it really brought out the instrumentation in the project.
Yeah.
Brian, when it was up, of course, he sent it to me on IG immediately, and I watched it. So, yeah.
I have the audio of my phone.
I believe. That's fine. I did that once.
Because I like the alternative sound, to the album, and I like the jazzy, just keys. That band, apparently, I read that Madlib specifically wanted them to do the Tiny Desk with.
That's what's up.
So that was pretty dope.
So our producer of the year, Madlib.
Yes.
Also excited about Madlib. Madlib next year, 2020, should be doing a project with Westside Gunn.
Yes.
Also, the bigger thing, not the bigger thing. I don't say that. Yeah, the other thing I'm excited about that Madlib will be doing, so we know him and Freddie Gibbs will be doing another project. Also, we'll be doing the Black Star reunion album. Oh
my God!
I'm so hyped.
He's gonna win this award again.
He might win it again next year. I don't know, but Madlib, hats off to you, man. Killing it. Respect that man's work. He's done a lot of great stuff.
Artist of the year. Let's go.
I'll kick this
Artist
one
of the year. Let's go.
My artist of the year for me.
I hope we have different artists.
I think we probably will.
Okay.
My artist of the year for me came to because this artist did, and I'll say now, they did not get my album of the year, but I thought the impact of what they did with their project, along with features, was really good. So my hip hop artist of the year, shout out to ladies, is Rhapsody. I think Rhapsody had a great concept.
It's an honorable mention for me.
She had a great concept on her album. A good follow-up to Layla's Wisdom. Album, I think, is a little bit stronger. I think she delivered one of the best albums I heard from a female rapper in quite some time. And I think that's impactful. It features on songs like Smith & Wesson's Ocean Drive, along with her recent Flex freestyle. Showed me that her pen game is as sharp as ever. And I just thought she was dope and killing it this year in her presence. Really disappointed. And not because I put that much weight into awards, but I thought it was disappointing she did not get a Grammy nom. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But salute to you, Rhapsody. Dope. You've been killing it for a while. She's starting to get more of the respect she deserves. And she can go, not that I thought that she couldn't, she can go bar to bar with anybody. She is nice as it is. I like to see her get more respect. But she was my hip-hop artist here because I remember listening to her album. And I was driving from the Little League World Series, and I was just smiling because I liked what she executed with her concept and what it meant in her to do this album around the names of very powerful, accomplished women of color. So I really liked that, and I thought she did a great job. I thought it was great for hip-hop. So Rhapsody, salute.
You already know where I'm going.
Everybody knows where you're going.
So I don't want to.
Was there any surprise here?
I'm not going to speak too much about this because we're going to get more into this later in our albums of the year category. But Freddie Gibbs.
That's fine. I think it's a great choice.
Is my artist of the year strictly because of what he did with Bandana. I mean, he didn't drop anything else this year, but that just that album alone, that was enough for me. I will say this though. Artist of the year contenders for me. There's one that I'm not going to mention because I'm saving that. I'm saving that as a surprise for our album of the year discussion because this person who I'm talking about is in that mix, and they, I want to reserve that because I don't know if you're going to have this person anywhere there. I think this is going to be a surprise.
Well, I think there's somebody in my album of the year that I could bring up for artist of the year, but I'm also going to save them because I don't think you'll have them anywhere there.
Right. So I'm going to save it. Other artist of the year contenders though, because Freddie Gibbs, I thought.
It came down to Freddie and Rhapsody for me.
For me, Skyzoo and Rhapsody, and I also threw Benny in there because Benny also had.
I have no problem with that
year.
because of the project he put out, what he did on WWCD. We'll get to that later.
Yes, and also the plugs I met was so good.
Yeah, although and
Conway too.
Yeah, well, shout out to the whole Griselda man because they really are doing their thing.
But Freddie Gibbs artist of the year for me. I'm sure that doesn't sound.
That's not.
But to be fair, to me. He was not my artist of the year in 2017 or 18.
Which was shocking. Very shocking.
I don't even remember who my artist of the year 2017. But
I don't remember either.
It's neither here nor there.
2017?
Last year was Royce.
Yes, and it was the same for me. I think for me it was...
Was it Kendrick?
Kendrick.
He dropped Damn that year. I didn't put Damn. No, I wasn't. I don't remember what I did. But who cares? Anyway, moving on. Song of the year.
Yeah.
I'm going to do Song of the year.
You go first on this one.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah, you go first on this one.
Oh,
I'm not even sure if you've heard my song of the year.
It's so hard. But because usually I pick something that's pretty introspective.
Generally where I go.
You know what I mean? Just generally.
And so you did not do this.
Generally
here.
something.
You went for something ignorant.
Generally something that's like that you can feel that almost makes you cry. You know what I mean? Like last year, what did I have for Song of the Year? I'm sure it was something like emotional. I think it was a Royce the 5'9" song.
I think I had Pablo Boat. I don't remember what you had.
Excuse me. I think I had a song from the same album.
Yeah. I think it was Cocaine.
It was either Cocaine or the other one, the Christmas one.
Oh, that's fine. I was just bumping the album the other day.
I forgot what it was. But I think it was that.
Power.
Yes. I think that might have been.
It's a great song.
Contenders. Soul Right and Giannis by Freddie Gibbs. Hug the Block by The Game. Half of It by Kanye. This other one, I'm going to save it. I'm going to save this other one. Cleo Rhapsody.
Okay.
Nas Beautiful Life.
That's a really good song I was bumping the other day.
Song of the year for me. It's 5 to 50.
Really?
By Benny the Butcher. Listen, there's something to be said about energy, right? And as soon as the beat...
for you, yes.
Listen, from the intro to the beat to the hook that scares the shit out of me. With the woman talking about, I ran into Benny and he had this going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in, bro.
Do you think Song of the Year is also... Do you think it always correlates to your most played song of the year?
Yes, but this is why.
Okay.
This is why. This is my most played non-bandana song of the year. All my most played songs, there's like a few of them, they're on bandana or whatever. Spotify will tell you that because of the analytics or whatever. 5 to 50 on my repeat playlist that they curate. 5 to 50 is number one right now because I've been hearing it even more lately. But like, just so like I don't always want to give it to the sort of most introspective thing. My second place was actually "Beautiful Life" by Nas. That was where I was gonna go second, but. Listen, 5 to 50, man, like, I just can't stop listening to it because I've been in the gym. I've been going around. I'm in an intense mood. You know what I'm saying? I got things going on that sort of have me coming back to this, even more than 18 Wheeler, which is another song that I really like. A lot. But 5 to 50 was, oh my God. And it needs to be said, Benny the Butcher killed all three of those verses. Flow, delivery, cadence, all that stuff. It was excellent. Beat perfect. The music video hilarious.
I actually haven't seen that.
The video is great. It's not very intricate. He's rapping. There's a caution tape there. The woman who's speaking is there. Yeah. West Side Gun is with him on a car, and he's like dripped out. He's just bumping his head, not even looking into the camera. It's funny.
Typical gun stuff.
West Side Gun, yo.
For me, there was some decent contenders. I will take part of what Brian said in that I tend to like songs that hit a theme or really speak to me in a way. I think that's what Bob LeBoat and J. Cole's verse on that was my verse of the year, song of the year last year. My contenders I had, even though this didn't really speak to me, but Palm Olive. Freddie Gibbs had a couple songs in the contenders for my song here. Palm Olive was one of them.
I put Soul Riding Giannis. Yeah.
Education was another one of them.
See how good that album is.
Freddie Gibbs' verse Education was also my contender for verse of the year. That was in my top 5.
And I'm glad that he did that in the Tiny Desk concert.
Yeah,
I think that was the first one.
Maya by Rhapsody also was up there for song of the year for me.
Different song for that.
The Kings I Met, Crown for Kings, excuse me, Benny the Butcher, with Black Thought. Also, Family and Loyalty, I was bumping that a lot. I really like that song.
Yeah.
That was there.
Varsity or Contender.
Varsity or Contender too. But what it came to me was a song from a artist. I don't even think Brian's listened to this. But every year I find some new artist or something that like gets into me or breaks into.
I hope you don't spoil the one that I'm going to bring up later.
No, I doubt it. I highly doubt it. My song of the year was by an artist out of the UK actually, rapper out of the UK, and his name is Dave. It's off of his album called Psychodrama. The song is called Black. I thought it was a fantastic song.
I know. I've heard of Dave. I haven't heard the music.
Yo, really good, man.
Okay.
Really good.
I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check it out because you'll see why later.
Yeah.
You'll see why later.
This touches on the theme. It's a song that talks about what it means to be black to him. And it really touches on racial and social inequalities that he's experienced growing up in South London. He said this. I wrote this quote down that he said about the song.
Yes.
To the Observer. He said, that track is my experience. Me being in South London, black, Nigerian, that's what I'm mainly basing it on. It's a good representation of what I associate with and everything I think. But I don't think that it's universal for the whole black experience because there's too many different races and dynamics within the race of black. For a black person who's Senegalese, growing up in France, or New York, Jamaican, that's a completely different relationship with being black and how you might be accepted in the culture or that world. Everyone's experience is different, especially black women and black men. I thought that was dope, but I do think there's overlap in things he said. Some of my bars I like from this song: the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. A kid dies, the blacker the killer, the sweeter the news. And if he's white, you give him a chance, he's ill and confused. If he's black, he's probably armed. You see him shoot. Yo.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out.
Dave's nice.
When did this come out? What part of the year?
February, March.
Oh, so it was early. Wow.
Early in the year.
Missed that one.
Really good. I will get to this album later. Really good. Part of a really good album. Song I just really kept coming back to. I just think it's really thoughtful, really well done. When it comes to me for Song of the Year, like you said, I need the verses to be good, the structure to be really good. It's really got to do with it. Hit me. Dave is an artist out of the UK that I really like. I had gotten to Loyal Carner a couple of years ago, also out the UK. UK's got some rappers right now that I think if you like the rapidy rap, they got some rappers who rap who can make some songs. Dave and Loyal Carner, salute to them. I like them. But that was my song of the year, Black by Dave. whether you're black or not, I think you can feel the song and think it's dope.
Album of the decade, because we're going to go album of the year last, because that's when we have our top 5 albums.
Yeah,
each,
that takes some time.
And that takes some time to build. And there's going to be more anticipation for that, because our album of the decade is probably the same thing.
Yeah, album decade for me.
Good Kid, M.A.A.D City.
Good Kid, M.A.A.D City, Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. Close contenders, though. Life is Good, Nas.
Others I would put up there.
Life is Good, Nas.
Life is Good, Nas.
Section 80
Section
for me.
80.
Also, The Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah.
Forest Hills Drive, J. Cole.
Yep, I put that up there as great albums this decade. I also would put Undone by the Roots. I put Nas. If you want to count Nas and Damian Marley's Distant Relatives, those are 2010. Those are like right at the top of the decade.
No, I'm looking for How I Got Over. Was that 2009?
That's 2000.
No, that's 2010. Oh,
that's 2010.
That's
Sorry,
2010.
Undone is.
How I Got Over is that's up there for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of great ones, but I think Kendrick, if you probably look at it, I think he's a hip hop artist of the decade. I think he's also has the album of the decade. He has at least what people consider at least 2 classics. Some people say 3, at least 2. The other 2, what you want to say about them, are really good albums.
I'll say 3.
But I think Good Kid, M.A.A.D City, when I think people look back at it, is this generation's Illmatic.
Yeah,
it is. It's funny. It's funny that both albums about people really talking about the perspective of the world around them. Kendrick's a little bit more thematically structured into a album that actually tells a story, a la Miseducation, Lauryn Hill. And I just think it's a fantastic album. It's something I went back and listened to a couple weeks ago. It's still great every time I hear it, and you think about how much it's an album. It's just like Nas' Illmatic. You can tell how much of their life and career and mindset went into crafting this. It's great. I think it's undeniably the best album of this generation. The other stuff that's close that I think are really good. People like to talk about how not good the decades are. I actually think this decade for hip hop was a lot better than the last decade. I will say that.
Yes.
I think there were better albums in 2010s than there were in early 2000s.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's more classics, more near classics, and I think there was better rapping and artists that came on the scene, from Kendrick to J. Cole to Drake to Freddie Gibbs to Joey Badass to tons of other people. And I think we also saw the evolution of older artists actually really digging into their craft and making some of their more open, honest, and personal work, whether it was Jay, Nas, Royce da 5'9", Joell Ortiz, Joe Budden, some of these older artists actually showing that there was more depth to their work in their rapping than ever before. So I think that doesn't get saluted, but definitely.
Book of Rhyme is up there for me too for album of the decade.
Yes, absolutely.
I will say this, Life is Good, Nas is probably the most underrated album of the decade. I will throw that in there as well. I think that album doesn't get its due because I actually don't know why. You know what I mean? I actually don't know why, but I'm looking at the track list now. No Introduction, Locomotive, A Queen Story, Accident, Murderers, and Daughters. You're probably not starting an album better than that. It's very hard to start an album with 5 tracks better than that. Reach Out with Mary J. Blige. Got tired of that song real quick because I think it was in 2K. And then, no. I'm thinking of the Kendrick song with Mary J. Blige.
Oh, that was not good. Black Boy Fly.
No, not Black Boy Fly. Black Boy Fly is fire.
Actually good. It's after that on the bonus tracks for the album. I can't remember it. It's not good. I don't like it.
But we don't count that as
it was on 2K. Was that 2K16?
Yeah. No, earlier than that.
14?
Like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Now or Never. Oh.
Yeah, that might be a Kendrick song I do not like. But it's a bonus track, so I don't care.
Last thing before we go on to albums of the year. Favorite song on Good Kid, M.A.A.D City? What is it?
Sing About Me, Dying to Thirst.
I think mine is Money Trees. I love that song.
Yeah, Sing About
Money
Me.
Trees, and I like Compton a lot too. Compton I thought was a great way to finish.
It is. Sing About Me or Real are probably my 2 favorite songs on that album, but definitely Sing About Me.
You know, Real, I didn't like it when I first heard it, and then it grew on me.
That song is dope.
It took a little while.
That song is dope.
It took a little while.
That song is dope. Those 2 songs back to back are great. Like Swimming Pools to those 2 songs is fantastic.
But I'll tell you what, when this album came out, my most played song was the Backseat Freestyle.
I can see
because I was 18, 19. All my friends, we used to just play video games and just bump music. We would all just like mess around to that song.
I think Real might have been my most played song now.
Backseat Freestyle still played in a lot of arenas.
Yeah,
still.
Yeah, that beat's hard. Great beat by Hit Boy too. You know we like to hook our listeners up from time to time, and we have a hookup for you today. So for the listeners of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. You can check out one of my favorite sports books, $40 Million Slaves, The Rise, Fall, and Redemption of the Black Athlete by William C. Roden. That's available on audible.com with hundreds of thousands of other books that you can listen to today. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/AHTT. Again, that's audibletrial.com/AHTT for your free audiobook.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Albums of the year. Top five. Top five.
Top five.
I can't wait. I'm not even excited to get to my first one. I'm excited to get to my second one because we have not talked about this person at all, and I don't know if we will. I can't wait.
I'll kick it off. So, album of the year, fifth spot. I had a tie. We when we do this, we only allowed one tie in any of these 5 slots. I put the tie at 5. Tie for 5 was What Was Sheen Gonna Do? WWCD Griselda and Retropolitan Skyzoo and Pete Rock. Tie for 5. WWCD, obviously, we've only been sitting with that for not even a month. But I do think it's a really good album. I've been really in the last year, like really getting into the Griselda rise, probably since the end of last year. I like what those dudes are doing. I have a ton of respect for the fact that I feel like they have literally kept the New York hip-hop sound alive, that they have not conformed to changing their BPMs, to sticking to the jazzy soul samples, hard, grimy drums that New Yorkers we like. And it's fine. You can have your New York sound, and this is not an anti-trap statement.
Right.
Because I enjoy trap music. But they bring some lyricism. You know, my one criticism of Griselda has always been they could diversify their subject matter a little bit more. Maybe that's something they will do as they evolve. But right now what they're doing and what they did on their first major label release as a collective, I thought was really good. I thought it was really impressive. They used no samples on this by Derringer and I'm forgetting the other dude who produces on there, Beat Butcher.
Yeah.
The producers on this album, really good. Look, it's what you expect out of Griselda album. Grimy, hard. Songs like Dr. Bird, Chef Dreads, Moselle. Just if you're a fan of like hard boom bap, dark, grimy lyrics, this is it.
Yes.
There can be some diversity in your hip hop listening to. I love working out, listening to these guys. And this album, my Griselda playlist, and as Brian has talked about before, man, Griselda knocks really good when you're walking in the cold in New York in the winter.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes.
It knocks so good. The tie for that was also Retropolitan. Skyzoo and Pete Rock. Shout out to the man Skyzoo. Had him on the podcast. Really love this album.
It's in my top 5.
With him and Pete Rock.
It's higher than you.
It's higher than I had
Yes.
it. Really liked it. Thought it was really good. Really great retro sound. Fantastic production by Pete Rock. I like the Skyzoo kind of did something different on this project. I thought it was really good. It's really hard for me where I put this at 5. And Sky, I apologize because not apologize, but I could have seen this any being as high as 3. And I really struggled, and you'll see why I get into it with the next 2, because I really flip-flopped with about 3 albums here that I tried to separate what I liked better and what I came back to. So Sky, by no means is any knock. It was a fantastic project. This could have went higher in my thing, but ultimately when I put it down, I had him down with the Griselda Collective, and really enjoyed the album. Good sound, fantastic. Sky spitting as fresh as ever. Looking forward to what he has to do next.
Number 5 for me, Born to Rap by Game.
Brian knows
You're shaking your head.
I am not high on that album, nor do I think it should be anywhere near the top 5. I don't think it's good.
Listen.
I always say that. I think it's okay.
You don't like 25-song albums, and I understand that. I can trim the fat a little bit, but I'm telling you, the songs that are
I
really...
like 25-song albums when they're great, like Life After Death.
The songs on this album that are really good, and there are a lot of them.
And the songs that are bad, folks, are really bad. That's what I was saying.
I disagree, but no, I really think that this is great. Like there's very good song making on here. There's very good song making on here.
It's your top 5, so I'm not okay, but great.
There's very good song making on here. This stretch right here, from 11 to 14.
Which this point I will agree with him on.
This is one of the strongest 4-track stretches that I've heard this year. Is Born to Rap, Welcome Home featuring Nipsey Hussle, Born to Rap has the outro with Nipsey Hussle talking about the game and his respect for him. Help Me, which is the interlude that's Sly singing about Nipsey. And then 14, the tribute to Nipsey, I didn't want to write this song. And then he also has other great songs. Hug the Block was a contender for me for Song of the Year because that's the one about his brother. He really got into some shit. And I really, I appreciate when rappers can do that. Stainless with Anderson.Paak. That song, that song is a jam, bro.
That was a really good song.
That is one of my favorite singles that got released this year. And there's just a lot of good stuff on this album. I really like No Smoke, how he starts it, $500 Candles. Like, there's a lot of great records on here. For me, it was too good not to put it in my top 5. And admittedly, I haven't sat with it for more than a month.
Well, I didn't sit with the Griselda for more than a month. I think those came out on the same day, right? Yeah, they came out the same day.
Something like that.
They came out the same day.
Griselda's in my honorable mentions.
Oh, they didn't make your top 5.
They're my honorable mentions.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're right. It was between them two for the 5 spot. I was gonna tie them, but I was like, no, I'm gonna show Dexter that I don't have to do ties this year.
Yeah,
so I'm doing the Game Boy.
You trying to show me? You want to show me something? You to put them over Game. That's a whole other thing.
Well, the diverse subject matter like that ended up doing.
That's fine if that was it. That
diverse subject matter for me. That was the main thing, and because we're talking about albums, so I kind of weigh that also. Now our number 4s. Should I go?
Go.
Right, that's what we're doing.
I'll give you another one.
Eve, Rhapsody. Yes, number 4. This was hard to put at number 4, and I will. You know what? No, I'm not gonna spoil.
I will say the album dropped for me. I had it higher at one point in the year, and it came down.
Oh, I did as well because, of something else that came out. I don't know if it came out after or before, but it rose up my list past Rhapsody's album. But Rhapsody's album, Eve. She's had, listen, between Layla's Wisdom and Eve, there are not a lot of other people who can be like, yo, I did this in the span of a couple of years. Eve is so good. I talked about Cleo's verse, the verse on Cleo earlier in the show. I also think Nina, which is my second favorite song on the album, the intro is really, 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 really good. Serena is a song that I like, that we haven't talked about much. Sojourner with J.Cole, which is a collaboration I know you love.
Another J.Cole great feature.
M.A.A.D with Sir and J.I.D. I thought was dope. Like there's gems all over this album for me. And you know how I feel about Cleo, and Ninth Wonder produced that. Ninth Wonder did his thing, producing a lot of these. He produced Maya. He produced Iman, what we just talked about, Sojourner, so Afeni, so Rhapsody, Eve, definitely.
I'll get to that album a little bit later.
Ooh, okay.
I had a little higher. Number 4 for me was an album from a duo, well, really was a trio that came back and out of nowhere dropped this album, and I was pleasantly happy.
Oh, this moved down.
This moved down a little bit. Yeah, I told you my 3, 4, 5.
You had it at number 1 at one point.
Yeah, and then but then I've sat with certain things, and I'll explain why that.
This is in my honorable mentions, by the way. Yeah, this album.
I really
moved down for me too.
This is May the Lord Watch Little Brother.
Yes.
Fonte and Big Pooh returned for an album. Came really out of left field. Nobody expected this. Nobody knew it.
But thank you, though.
But thank
we
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, just saw that Fonte just announced that it was dropping, and it was like, oh, okay, dope. Huge Fonte fan, one of my favorite rappers. No Ninth Wonder on this project, as they've had a follow.
I hope that if they do a follow-up, which I think will happen, I hope that Ninth Wonder is involved.
I'm not sure if that's going to happen because stuff I've heard, it doesn't sound like it's going to happen. Really good album. Without Ninth Wonder, the production was really good. They found this way of sticking to their sound. Very mature album, I think, for people, especially of my age, in terms of subject matter. I think a lot of times people looked at Little Brother and Fonte was a much stronger rapper than Big Pooh, but on this album, Big Pooh definitely stepped his bars up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
A lot better. He had some really good stuff to talk about, just like how he's dealing with, sort of when the group wasn't doing anything and being solo and being an Uber driver at the same time and like dealing with these insecurities. And there was a lot of good things on this album that I just really loved. Production really good through some verses that Fonte just spazzed on. The last 2 tracks on the album were really good. I think Work Through Me, Lord, the last one on the album is like one of my favorite songs of the year. That could have definitely been a Song of the Year candidate. Just really good about where these guys were, and I thought it was a really solid project. I had it higher because I think at first I really played it and I was like, man, I like how this flows all the way through. The knock for me on this album and why it dropped a little bit is The skits, for people who are fans of Little Brother, the skits are a callback to The Minstrel Show, 2005, which is probably, I think most people
That's a
would say,
classic.
Classic,
That's
their
a
best
classic,
album.
yeah.
They're good. They're funny. The skits are hilarious. They got some good people to be featured on it. Jamel Hill and on this. The Peter Rosenberg returning to do skits on the album. Really good. But because they're not spaced and they're part of the end of songs, when you're listening to the album, often I find myself like, okay, the way I judge skits and how they're workable on an album is, if you were cleaning your crib and you had the song on, do you want to really go over there and skip that skit? I've heard them enough times. They're funny, they're clever, they're nice callbacks, but I ain't really trying to hear it no more, and it kind of affects the flow of the album to me.
Okay.
So that's why it dropped down. I think had they got rid of the skits, I actually think it would have been a much tighter album, and I probably would be talking about it higher than I am now. Nevertheless, very good project. Something I think I will actually be returning to listen.
Yes.
And look forward to what they do next. All right, to move it along, I will go to 3.
Yes.
Because it's a repeat of something you said.
Yes.
3 for me was Eve by Rhapsody. Also had Eve Rhapsody a little bit higher. I thought her and Little Brother were 1 and 2 for a while. But in recent weeks, I recently sat back and listened to all of these albums as I do thoroughly, and really took notes on where I had things and how I really felt about things in the project going through. And there was an album, which I'll get to next, that I think I might have underrated a little bit and slid up. So Eve, for all the reasons that Brian mentioned, really good. First of all, again, as I said earlier, love the concept. Thought it was very empowering for women out there, especially women of color. Really loved it, and the way she tied in the subject matter, the way she had fun with some of the subject matter, including songs like Whoopi and Serena. Love the song Maya. You're right, Ninth Wonder did his thing on that.
Word.
Maya is an express example of that, taking the Erykah Badu Green Eye sample and flipping that. A Fenny using a Pac vocal sample up in there to do it. Just the topic she talked about, Rhapsody rapping as well as she's ever heard. He thought she was rapping good on Layla's Wisdom. No. She took it up another notch here.
Yes.
Again, absolutely ridiculous that this does not have an Album of the Year nomination for the Grammy, but I also think neither does some of the other albums we're about to talk about, but that's a whole other point. I think we know more than the people who do the rap awards for the Grammys.
Facts.
But that's a whole nother thing. Eve, really good album. Rhapsody, on the rise. Really is intrigued to see what she does next. And like I said, if you haven't listened to her latest freestyle on Flex, go listen to that.
Well, my number 3, you touched on it already, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I really want to get to number 2.
It's Retropolitan?
It is Retropolitan. Pete Rock, as I said, was a contender for Producer of the Year. These beats are so good. Eastern Conference All-Stars might be Posse Cut of the Year.
Oh, it is?
It might be Posse Cut of the Year. No, it probably is. Benny the Butcher, Conway, Elzai, Westside Gun, and Sky Zoo on the same record. And everybody went hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then just the album, to me, this might be the best structured album of the year, just from beginning to end, in terms of everything being cohesive, in terms of everything sort of blending together.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like and Sky Zoo told us here, like he wanted to really just sort of bring that New York sound, a New York element. You know what I mean? And sort of blend things together. And if you're a New Yorker, you're really going to appreciate this project, Retropolitan. Men Like Us, I think, is a great intro. It's one of my favorite intros this year. Not my favorite intro this year because that's Marcello on What Machine Gun Do. I love that one. But Glorious, Truck Jewels, Carry the Tradition, Homegrown, it's all good.
Homegrown, that's fine.
10 Days, Richie, Penny Jerseys, which I love. One Time's
another good song.
That's one of my that might be my favorite one. Eastern Conference All-Stars, The Audacity of Dope. Like, it's just straight. It's perfect. It's just perfect in terms of Men Like Us being the intro. Boom, there's your intro. Everything else, just songs.
Yep.
And then the album over.
And one thing I'll say,
45-minute listen.
45-minute listen. I didn't mention this before, but Sky, what he wove in, he didn't really have interludes, but he had certain things from older sounds, or he had stuff from Paid in Full, Martin Luther King Jr. speech, some things that came at the end of the album that I felt fitting very well with that retro sound and the concepts of the songs he was going into. So it worked well. I give people credit when they do it when it works well. I thought for Sky Zoo it worked well with the flow of the album.
Yes. Now number 2.
Go.
Am I going first?
Yeah, you're going first.
Number 2. Lil Sims, The Gray Area.
Yo, okay, so
this album is amazing.
So you know what's funny, man?
Lil Sims, if you don't know, is a female rapper from the UK. Let me just say this before Dexter gets to his point, so you people know who we're talking about. Her nickname is Bars Simpson. All right, she is nasty. She had a great album called The Gray Area that came out this year in March. I didn't discover it until about May or June. I was a little late. I didn't hear much of her, and she is really, really good. 10 tracks, 35-minute listen. There was a song on here, Pressure, that was a Song of the Year contender for me. It is really good. So Chronix is on it, your boy. Michael Kiwanuka is on the outro.
Another boy of mine.
So, and you mentioned him earlier, but Lil Sims can rap. I'll tell you what, Lil Sims I want to see live. If Lil Sims has a show in New York, let me know, because I would like to go.
So
She's really good.
Before you go, I want to say something about this album.
Are you shocked? Can you see why I'm excited to get to number 2?
No.
Did you expect me to have the UK on my list?
No, I didn't. But I'm a little mad at myself because I already had been up on Little Sims for quite some time, and had listened to some of her stuff.
She has a song out now with Q-Tip, Idris Elba. Q-Tip and Idris Elba.
I'm intrigued to hear that.
Called The New Breed. It's not her song. It's this dude named James BKS, but it's Idris Elba's on it. Her and Q-Tip, and it's really good.
So I've been up on her a couple years ago. I think this was after To Pimp a Butterfly. Somebody interviewed Kendrick and said, who you like to listen to? And he said Little Sims. And I went and listened to some of her stuff. She had an EP out before this. And I thought it was good, but I thought she needed to work on some song making. Then this year I came across this project, and this is true. I listened to the first 2 tracks on this project, and I liked it. But I was around doing some stuff for work, and somebody called me, and I got out the car for work, and I ended up never going back to finish the project. So unfortunately, this did not get into my listens for the year, so I did not get to do it.
It's really good.
And I believe it is. I've heard nothing but good things really about it. I saw it was one of the best releases this year. I didn't get to listen to it, but I will get around to it now. Probably after we finish this podcast, I'm probably going to listen to this on the way home. But yeah, I'm intrigued to listen to that. I'm glad to see you've expanded your horizons and listen to some folks out of the UK, because even though my list isn't done, I still got somebody from the UK we're going to talk about. Great
workout music also, especially with Boss, track number 2. And she really gets into a lot.
I heard that song's good. I listened to that song.
She gets into a lot of like just deep stuff here, and again, it's a short listen.
She can rap. She can rap.
35.
Guys.
This is why I asked you the other day. Is 35 minutes good for LP? Because I did not want to leave this album off my list. Great area. I'm looking forward to whatever Lil Sims is doing next. And like I said, if she's coming to New York, me and Dexter are going.
All right,
we're going.
So number 2, which I think now we know what number 1 is for Brian.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Number 2 for me, Bandana, Freddie Gibbs and M.A.A.D.
Ooh, number 2. Oh, what the hell is number 1? What's number 1?
Okay,
all right,
number 2, Freddie Gibbs and M.A.A.D. Listen to this album, and I'm going to be completely honest. We all know here that the man sitting here to my right is a huge Freddie Gibbs fan. So you can only imagine what it was like for the night that Bandana dropped. This man was excited. I don't believe I listened to it that night because, whatever reason.
I tried not to, and I think I did. I was like, nah, I'm going to bed.
And then I listened.
No, I didn't hear it that night. I heard it the next morning because I was going to do a shoot for Side Hustle. I heard it I woke up at 7 a.m. I was like, oh, yeah, Bandana drop. And I was turned. I was turned for like 7 hours.
I actually remember this morning because
I didn't hear anything else for like a week.
I remember this morning because I got up, and I took my daughter to school, and I didn't have something to do for a while. So I was like going to the gym or something, and I like listen to it. And I was like really impressed from the beginning of like how good it was, and the samples were, and like Gibbs was rapping, and I was like, man, yo, this is like, I was ready. Like when I was like 6 tracks in, I was like, yo, as long as this doesn't like get whack or have this come kind of crazy turn, it's one of those albums where you knew it was like, this is gonna be hot, because like I just felt Gibbs, who I've criticized for sometimes being a little bit too repetitive in the subject matter. Except for on what's the EP at? You Only Live Twice, that album. I thought he got twice. Yeah. I thought he got into some really good stuff on there. I thought this was it, where it was a little bit more varied. You saw him getting to some really good stuff, like on Situations, and I really felt like this was a really sort of coming of age, not of age album for Freddie Gibbs. I really think that the production is just stellar throughout. We talked about this before with Madlib. I think Gibbs is rapping as good as he ever has. Just really good listener out. I think this would have been number 1 for me if it was a little bit tighter. I would have liked the album to be. There's a couple tracks I could probably go without. But it's really good. It's 15 tracks. It's not. This is me being a little bit picky here. It's 15 tracks. It's a really good listen. I don't think there was anything on this where I was like, yo, man, that's whack. There's some songs I don't love as much, but I don't necessarily think it's whack. And there's songs I know, like, Brian loved Half Man, Half Cocaine. And I wasn't really feeling that when I first listened to the album, but now I'll be knocking that.
Yo.
And I really
Were you
like
in the gym?
Yeah.
Listen.
I also like Flat Tummy Tea. Maybe it's because I heard that a little bit earlier. I didn't love that as much, too. And another one that I think about, because it's funny, early in the year I would have cut these off. Goddamn was another one, but now I really like that a lot.
Have you seen the music video for Goddamn?
I did see that.
So that made me get into the song more too.
I did see that, but really good songs. I was talking about Palmolive earlier. Freestyle shit. Crime Pays. I'm the lead single off of this.
Yes.
Fantastic song. Massage Seats. Situations. Giannis, Practice really maybe something that Gibbs really gets into and introspective and talking about learning to love, which I thought was really good. Cataracts, that's one of my that's a really good jam. I like that song a lot.
Is great.
And the features on this are good. You got Pusha T, Killer Mike, Anderson.Paak, Yasin Bey, Black Thought. Not overly done with features, really well done. Madlib probably kind of steals the show here in a way. When I say steal the show, just elevates Gibbs to this other level with his rapping. So, man, salute to Bandana. I know you were high on Pinata. I think where this exceeded Pinata, and I thought Pinata was good, is this album flows better. Pinata felt more like a mixtape. This felt more like an album. It's way more cohesive. That's not a knock to Pinata. I think it's good, but I think this is like a really good classic status album that I think deserve forget. I know people listen to this like, yo, did Brian drug Dexter put something in his team?
Oh, we're not done. Because my number one album of the year,
we know what it is.
You already know it's Bandana.
So let's go to that. Your number one. I'll get to my number one.
All I'm going to say, because you knocked it out of the park. And the very first time we recorded the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, we had stuff to talk about. This was, I think, September 8th, 2017. We actually recorded it. And I think we posted it on September 9th. And I just want to say on that episode, now I'm looking into the camera. On that episode, what we did was we talked about hip-hop a little bit, and I had two major Freddie Gibbs takes at the time. One, I called him the most underrated artist in hip-hop. Two, I also called him the rapper with the best flow in hip-hop. And I think both of those have aged well 2 years later.
I agree more on the first point, not as much on the second point.
Well, the second point is more debatable, but I love the way he rides the cadence.
He does.
He finds the cadence.
Yo, Freddie Gibbs can rap, man. There's no doubt about that.
And I like that now people are coming around. This album has gotten a lot of praise, and people forget about Chris Brown dropping the same day. I think there was another big Daniel Caesar, I think, released something on the same day, and this album stood out because of how good it is.
I think this album is for hip hop purists in the sampling, in the rapping producer combination working together really well. Hip hop purists are gonna rock with this. It's really good.
As far as big picture now, I think their next one is gonna do even better. I'm surprised this didn't get a Grammy nomination because this was actually released in part with a major label, RCA Records, and part of that Freddie Gibbs said was to try to get a Grammy nomination. But we know how the Grammys are. I'm
actually not surprised it didn't get a Grammy nomination. A lot of this stuff that gets high critical acclaim, like this album does, and we're giving it, generally don't. There's a lot. Eve's gotten great critical acclaim.
Those are the main
across
two.
the board.
But
so is Little Brother's album. None of those albums were nominated for Grammys. So
I think Freddie Gibbs was two classics, Pinata being the other. I think that next, whether this album is a classic, this next collaboration, I should say, with Madlib is a classic, or which I think is going to be called Montana. I still don't actually know why this is called Bandana yet.
I don't know why Pinata's called Pinata.
But I love it. I don't care. But I do want to see if in his next project, which might be without Madlib, how people receive that now. Because he's had other great stuff without the help of Madlib, and I want to see how people sort of receive, not the Freddie Gibbs fans and not the real hip-hop fans, but more so the casual hip-hop fan who may just be learning about Freddie Gibbs now that his videos are famous. Spotify named him best out. They put Bandana best rap caviar album of the year, whatever that award called. Spotify gave it a lot of recognition. So I want to see, where does this put him after this? Because now we're witnessing somebody sort of make these levels towards underground legendary status.
Yeah, and
If he even is still underground.
yeah, I feel like he is. But the underground today is so different than underground it used to be.
Right. Like when I hear
it's a
underground
different space.
today, I think Griselda.
Yeah, but I think Freddie Gibbs is still in that, and it's like, I don't know. Some of them we've seen dudes from the underground, if you want to say, are starting out on that circuit, cross over, but it doesn't happen for everybody. I'm not saying Freddie Gibbs has to do that. I do think that this album, getting the critical acclaim it does, will open people's eyes up to watch him more for his next project, and so I'm glad to see him get that.
Yes.
I feel the same for Rhapsody, but sometimes you want to see those people get that in terms of the major awards. But you know what, man, the people, you look at anybody, look, the people that really, and I don't really mean to sound elitist, but the people that really listen to hip hop, that really like well put together albums, great production, great rapping, great storytelling, it's on everybody's top of their list this year. Same thing with Eve. The people know.
Even Complex had.
Come on, the people
2.
that know
like
about that know about that. It's not just popularity contest of what's bumping on the radio, and no disrespect for those people, but the people know who know, and that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, great album. It surpassed my expectations, and my expectations were very high.
Yeah,
My
expectations were tempered.
Yes,
and I really enjoyed the album, man. Like, I still bump it a lot.
So now you got to do your album of the year. Before that, though, real quick, a couple more other honorable mentions: Hitler Wears Hermes 7, West Side Gun, and Denzel Curry, Zoo. Zoo also has the skit of the year. It's called Yo, and I need to play that for you. I have to. It's 1 minute long. It is hilarious.
I've not listened to.
Denzel Curry, you would like. He's good, man.
I'll have to check.
My boy put me on to him last year, and yeah, I'm very impressed.
I can be picky. My number one album of the year is from an artist I mentioned earlier with the song of the year, Dave with Black. My number one album of the year is Psychodrama.
Okay.
Fantastic album.
I have to hear this.
That is,
and you got to finish Little Sims.
Yes, I have to do that. Fantastic album that talks basically. I like albums a lot that have themes. I tend to like that, and when it's done well, I love it. But you have to rap too. The theme is executed well. The theme of this album is about Dave talking to his therapist. And it starts off with him talking to his therapist, and every rap song that he does is him explaining different things to his therapist, from social ills in South London to being a black man there to dealing with relationships and his struggles with objectifying and dealing with women through the pain of one of his brothers incarcerated. So all these different things that he's talking about through a therapist. And it's a really well done album by a guy who can, I think, really rap his ass off as good as anybody, lyrically sharp. You should check him. His Tiny Desk was also really good. Not quite as good as Freddie Gibbs, but his Tiny Desk he did this year was also really, really good. Some really good singles. He had a good stretch of his album, from Black to a song called Purple Heart to another song called Location with Burna Boy, which actually was a really good feature. Really good album. I thought this was the tightest, most cohesive, well-executed project of the year, album of the year. I thought it had fantastic production and really good rapping, really good subject matter. And yeah, I almost had slipped and forgot about it, but I started listening to it more towards the end of the year, and it came back, and I was like, nothing's better than this in terms of it being as tight. It is I'm trying to remember the amount of tracks on that album. It is a 13-track album, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it's an 11-track album. Apologize. It feels a little long because there is an 11-minute song on this called Leslie. However, and you're a storyteller, this is a song that is fantastic. Okay. Fantastically done. It's like you know what I describe it to? Undying Love. Ooh. If you like Undying Love, Nas, you're going to like the storytelling in this.
Ooh, intrigued.
It touches more on abuse in a relationship. So not the same as the subject matter of Undying Love, but it's in that framework of the storytelling of it, which is really, really good. And I highly recommend. That could have been one of my songs of the year. It's an 11-minute song. So if I'm telling you it's got to be good, this 11-minute song, because
that's a podcast.
It's not something you could always go back and listen to, but in the flow of the album, it's really good.
Okay.
But yeah, fantastic album. Has got a lot of critical acclaim in the UK. Won a couple of awards. I'm forgetting the award that Georgia Smith had won for an album a couple years ago, but it got that. Really good. I know we got to wrap soon. Other honorable, I didn't really have a lot of honorable mentions for me.
One more Jim Jones album. Jim Jones album was good. It was really good.
I had Laurel Carter, another UK artist, his second album, Not Swimming, but
shout out to our UK listeners,
Drowning.
man.
yeah, they'll like that. Laurel Carter, I thought his album was good. It was just outside for me. I didn't think it was the super strongest year for hip hop. I didn't have a lot. I thought it was a little easier for me to make my list. It was just how I had to sort through it.
Right.
But overall, a solid year for hip hop. Diverse year in listening. Got into even some artists I didn't think I was going to get into.
Yeah, me too.
For certain things at certain points. Like I you know who I really like? I like Tierra Whack. A lot.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah,
I've been pumping her stuff. I'm somebody who likes, enjoys, and listens to some of Megan Thee Stallion stuff that's been going on. So I really kind of like what the ladies been doing and how it seems like the ladies hip hop genre is getting a little bit more diverse. So I'm glad to see that.
According to Metacritic, their highest critically acclaimed reviews album this year won Gray Area, Lil Sims 2, Psychodrama Dave. That's interesting. So we're
Both
on a good
UK.
path. Yeah, and then Eve, and then Bandana, Made the Lord Watch. So a lot of albums we mentioned here. Zoo by Denzel Curry is also
I might have
up
to
here.
listen to that.
Oh, and Danny Brown, you know what I'm saying, was actually...
I didn't listen to that.
I like that album.
I didn't listen to
It's
that.
not. It was an album of the year category for me, but that was a strong Danny Brown album.
There's a one album I put for honorable mention. I was a little gassed off it at first, but I think Brian brought me down on it, and then other people. And I listened to it. Yeah, it was okay. But Joel Ortiz's Monday, I put in an honorable mention. It was okay.
Oh yeah.
There's some songs I listened to, but it wasn't quite as good as his album with Apollo Brown.
Nah, the Apollo Brown album was really good. That was in our albums of the year top five.
Yeah,
Both of
last
our
year.
top fives.
All right, so that's it. You have it. That's our hip hop albums of the year.
Episode 104.
Episode 104. This is our last episode of 2019. 2020 is here.
Yo.
As Fonte said on May the Lord Watch, can't have 2020 without foresight. We're going to have a lot of foresight, a lot of new things coming to the podcast, couple changes. Going to have a new segment that Brian and I have we're finalizing. There's going to be a little bit of changes to the podcast, nothing like bad or major. It's going to be still the same us and what we do. But some changes, we're going to add a new segment, some stuff, trying to be a little bit more engaging with our fans and things we do. Hopefully everybody had a great holiday season.
Hopefully we have. No, not hopefully. We're going to have a live show in 2020.
Yes, we're trying to do that. Yep.
That is happening.
We're going to do that.
We're getting Dexter out in these streets.
Yeah, I'm always out. I'm always out in these streets by the nature of what I do.
Right.
I'm always out in these streets.
I'm the one you got to bring out.
Yeah.
More often.
So yeah, hopefully everybody had a great holiday season. Blessed and happy New Year. Much blessings to everyone and prosperity.
I'll be 26 soon. I'll be 26 very soon.
Oh, how nice.
Healthcare. We got to get it.
Well, that's
gotta get it. Stable lifestyle. Come on.
That's a whole nother
We're trying to live long and prosperous out here. You know what I'm saying?
I hear that.
Send some love and prayers and support for your boy.
You sound like some other people on Twitter.
I know. I'm mocking them right now. I'll be good, y'all.
All right,
if you want, you know what I'm saying. I'm here.
Be sure, send us our comments. Remember, our survey link is always up there.
Word.
Please continue to support us on Patreon. Also, New Year's deals, holiday deals at our T Public Store.
Yes.
So check that out.
Mugs, T-shirts, hoodies,
we got
stickers.
We have all of that for you.
Pillows.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, at AHTT Podcast.
Pillows for people sleeping on
That
us.
stuff will change. We got to, you know what? We got to bring a pillow in studio next time so I can sleep on other people. So that'll be it. But hey, we'll have a lot more fun stuff.
Audible code AHTT for your free Audible book.
There we go.
Yes.
Can't forget that.
Yes, help us out with that.
Yeah, do more more reading, do more listening to this podcast. Want to thank Gotham Podcast Studio for a great full year of being here at Gotham Podcast Studio, and all our wonderful producers, including our producer Mike, who's handling everything behind the boards on this podcast. We also want to thank all of the people that came through, called, our guests, our friends on other podcasts, way too many to name, but all the people who came on to support our podcast and will continue to come on, good guests and friends, especially in the sports media industry and otherwise. And obviously you, the listeners and viewers and people who continue to watch and support and share and support other independent media. That's my message. Always out there, support independent media.
Yes.
Support yourself, build yourself, uplift yourself with positivity, and continue to do what's great. That's what it's about in 2020. For the last time in 2019, for Brian Fonseca, I'm Dexter Henry for episode 104 of the Untitled Podcast. Until next year, y'all. Peace.